Hi everyone, how are you? I will get right out of this. Y'all hate that screen. There we are. How are all of you? I hope you're well. I hope that you're doing your best to enjoy the summer. I'm going to say this, as you all know, that I do my own original content, but still, as I'm reported for doing otherwise, let me get this out of the way so that the bots can hear me say that I am doing this video under fair use. Let me check something really quick. I know you guys hate it, but I am so paranoid that there we are. Okay. Well, you're grabbing your coffee. I'm just doing a little housekeeping here. So let's say that I am doing this under fair use. That the Fair Use Act and Disclaimer of 1976, Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, where allowance is made for fair use, using the four-factor balancing act and test. And number 1 states that a small portion of original material is used, and that new work is critique, satire, or education. And number 3, that commercial value of the original is not diminished. And number 4, that new work is predominantly original product of user, and that is sourced by emerging edtech and termly. So with that being said, if I mention any creators here, it is generally out of gratefulness for the work that they've done. As you know, when I do my lives, which is very, very few and far between, I don't allow the talk of any other creator. As you all know, that if I do speak about a creator, there is nothing that I'm saying that I would not say to that person's face. So right now, where there's a lot of questions about other creators losing their channels and whatnot, and I've stated how I feel about certain creators or how I know them or anything like that. If anybody, is clipping and running back and that creator takes it out of term, there's no problem with anybody coming straight to me and asking me what I said, why I said it, and I can tell them exactly why I said it, when I said it, how I said it. Because people love to create the drama out here. So, I do have a lot of new work. I have been holding back on posting it for a couple of reasons. And most of that new work will not be published until probably September. Now, I did have an attorney very, very loosely and briefly look over some of the things that I was concerned about. Because right now, where there's a lot of strife with YouTube and its unstable platform and its ever-changing rules. As many of you know, I did lose my monetization. I lost that 4 months ago due to a false report. YouTube is a self-policing community. That means that a lot of times they're not going to see something that goes against their 1,000,010 rules, but somebody who wants to get your channel down will falsely report you for false things, and all it takes is a bot to think, oh, okay, this widget fits this widget, and then this means this, and that's what happened. I'm not going to, go into great detail. I put up a very, very good fight. If anybody is interested in seeing the proof of that fight, I'd be happy to share the email threads back and forth. I have let a couple of trusted individuals see that. But my monetization is gone. So my channel was, when I had 1,500 subscribers, was making almost $100 a month. Sometimes it wouldn't quite make $100, and it's the $100 where they pay out. So if you're at 99, it's not going to pay out till the next month, and then you have 100 and whatever. So I was getting it to where, it was finally to an average of $100 a month. And so that's been taken away from me, and now that I have twice as many subscribers, that would be almost $200 a month. So now I've lost at least, we can safely say probably $700 due to that false report and counting. So it's very discouraging, to say the least. So when I am faced with, since a lot of the channels that speak the way that I do, where it's said that I'm going against, I guess I'm being called counterculture, but I don't really see it that way. I hope that I'm providing a platform for discussion, especially on the Watts case. Every channel that's speaking like mine has just given up or taken their channel down because it's not worth it. The harassment that you get for speaking like I do, it's ridiculous. There's a person who probably has several profiles that must work nights or whatever, because I get a lot of the harassment at 5:50 in the morning. And it's just very difficult to see such ridiculous things over and over. And the reason why I keep my channel is because that's about 10% of what I deal with, because the 90% is the privilege of getting to know so many amazing people like you all that are worthy of having good conversations with. I don't require that anybody agree with me, but this is my channel. So if somebody wants to say something like, and just be talking very black and white and be like, oh, you suck, you said this, and okay, goodbye. I can block you if you can't find the door. It's fine. However, if somebody is like, you know what, I feel this way on that, I've always wondered about this, cool. That's fine. The way that YouTube has become is a mirror of our society, where people have used freedom of speech as a weapon. And when somebody is saying something that they don't agree with, they report it as something that it isn't, to shut the other person up. And the silence and censorship is something that everybody should be paying attention to. There's a popular rumor that Shanann's family is suing every creator that speaks out. And so when I was getting repeated threats of that, I did, like I say, I have an attorney very casually look over my content and reassure me that I am not doing anything wrong, that I am within my rights to speak. And on that, where I don't have, I don't feel that I'm doing anything wrong. And as the shiners continue to say that I'm going to hell, I'm bashing the dead, blah, 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 I'm fine to meet my maker with what I'm saying here. I have no problem with that. I am fine to go into a court of law if that's what it takes to speak out and speak up about the issues that are here. But I'm going to tell you it's not going to happen because I've done nothing wrong. In defamation suits, as we know about the other case that I cover, there is a very strong burden of proof, and you need to prove loss of income, you need to prove business practices, you have to, there's a whole line of stuff. If you're ever interested in the other side of my channel, where I cover a local case that is involving a defamation issue, and a lot of you are from that side, so a lot of you from the Katie Joy side have came over here and have opened their minds a little bit, or had questions too about the way that the Watts case has been presented in the media. So I think that it's a beautiful blend when you listen to both, and you'll learn a lot about how our courts are approaching things. Now, what I found out about the supposed lawsuits that are going on is that basically, yes, it is true that there is a lot of money going towards somebody saying that they're going to sue. So yes, that is true. There's a lot of money going there. Now, when it says, oh yeah, I can see, and there's articles about it. Yep, those articles confirm that there is money being collected on the basis that they're going to sue. Now, that letter that confirms that there is money is from an attorney who is in the UK, I believe. And it is said that that attorney was secured to review the information, and they had collected money to do so. And that was years ago. And that is for somewhere other than the United States, where freedom of speech has a lower bar. Basically, Yes, it's true. There's money. There's money going to the same people who were taking money before that caused this entire issue, where children were ignored, where children were neglected, where children lost their lives. And now, as hard as I have worked to show that this was not a perfect family, this was not perfect mothering, this is not exemplary mothering, and quite the opposite. That now the Shiner command, they inputted a new command into the smooth brain robot, where they come to my channel, and here you go, ready for it? The new command is, well, so what if she wasn't all of that? She didn't deserve it. And so, oh my God, stop the presses. She didn't deserve it. She didn't deserve it. She didn't deserve it. She did not deserve it. Oh my God, she did not deserve it. She did not deserve it. She didn't deserve it? What? Okay. So, that's it. It's all done. I'm going to close down my whole channel. I called Vinnie Politan up at Court TV and told him to shut down all courts in the country. Because no matter what, why do we even have trials? Because the other person, they didn't deserve it. They didn't deserve it. Oh, they didn't deserve it. So nothing matters. It's just black and white. Is that somebody's accused of something, and there you go. We're going to take them into town square, and we're gonna stone them. Put them up against it and burn them at the stake. Is that where we're at? Because that's the kind of primitive thinking that gets there. What am I supposed to say to this? That I have these weird, homely people coming for me. Saying, so what? She didn't deserve it. Do you think that I'm saying she deserved it? Do you think that that's where I'm going here with this? Do you think that I'm on this crusade to be like, yep, she deserved it? Are you crazy? Who deserves what? Do any of us deserve anything bad that happens in our life? You want to know who didn't deserve it? Those kids didn't deserve it. Those kids did not deserve to be treated like pawns every day. Those kids didn't deserve to have adults who knew better turn their head every day. That's who didn't deserve it. And to sit there and think that, okay, because we've worked hard to show that there's a bigger issue, that there are more victims than we are counting. Because the loss of life is one factor of being a victim. Being abused, lied to, deceived, stolen from, humiliated, emasculated. That is also the creation of abuse, the infliction of abuse, the execution of abuse. And is it right that somebody who was so mistreated should run and hide like a turtle putting its head in a shell and say, okay, here you go. Nope, never. No one ever needs to talk to me again in my life. I'm a turtle. I don't want any kind of confrontation. Did he deserve it? Does he deserve it? Well, the Shiners are going to say yes. He deserves everything and so much more. Okay. So while we're going around, who deserves what? Who deserves to live until they're 75? Who deserves to lose their life at age 10? Who determines who deserves what? And how is this an end-all, be-all argument? Well, she didn't deserve it. Do you think that's what I'm saying? I'm interested in a dialogue about how to make sure this never, ever happens again. And I don't think that we've came near scratching the surface to look at all of the issues that are problematic, that contributed to whatever happened. Did anybody deserve what? Who deserved what? What kind of reasoning is that? Like I said, Court TV right now. We've got the Black Swan Killer. I don't know if any of you guys are listening to that. It's interesting because It is my belief that there are a lot of women who have lived their life behind bars who were absolutely victims of domestic violence. There have been documentaries about it, that domestic violence just really isn't a defense. It's not. And no matter what you went through, the other person did not deserve to be unalived. Okay? That's true. But then does the person who was living in such horrible conditions that they thought that was their only way out deserve to be imprisoned, caged like an animal? Who deserves what? That's the problem, is that the shiners are starting to see that their argument isn't holding water anymore. Their black and white line of thinking, where you agree with me or else. These shiners that come for me, yeah, they want my attention. I'll give it to them. I'll look at their thing, and I'll see other videos, and I'll see others who else they subscribe to. And there are some weirdos. Very, very, very likely that the person who will insult me is also subscribed to channels that and people who are where they are from coercive control. So the type of people who come for me are people who are not able to think outside the box. They're not who you want on a jury. They wouldn't make it on a jury. My problem with the Watts case is that I don't know what happened that day, night, dawn, dusk, whatever. And you don't either. None of us do. We pay taxes to know exactly what happened beyond the shadow of a doubt. And it is not my job to provide a defense. It is actually the prosecutor's job. The defense is not the one who has the burden. The defense does not have to show a case. The prosecutor is the one who needs to prove the case beyond a shadow of a doubt. To show that if we are taking somebody's freedom away as an American, that we know that we are justified in taking that freedom away. I learn things as I go. I've learned so much as I started this channel. I've grown as a person, as a woman. And there are things that make me now question things a little bit differently than I did in the beginning. I don't say that Christopher Watts is innocent, but I don't know that he's guilty either. Nobody can say that here or there. Something happened, but what happened? The fact that he took a crap out in the desert speaks volumes. I have spoken about this a little bit. I can touch on this a little bit. Happened upon a fatality driving, and I was the first person to find the 20-year-old victim. I had never seen anything like that in my life. And the way my stomach responded over the next 24 hours was something I'd never experienced. I don't know if it's the adrenaline that hits you or if you're in shock, however it is, but your stomach works very hard to expel its contents, let's just say. And when I was talking to the State Patrol the next day, I mentioned it, that, I was really sick. Didn't know if I'd ate something bad, and he explained, no, that's the trauma flu. That, after somebody's been through something traumatic or witnessed something traumatic, they often have the stomach upset, throwing up, diarrhea, etc. So, believe it or not, his turd is a clue to me that he had something to do with whatever happened. In my mind, I cannot say that his behavior as a father that we've all witnessed on those endless videos lines up to a person who could do what he is accused of doing. But the shiners will say, he admitted it, he confessed it. He didn't confess. He doesn't know what the hell he's saying. He was in shock. 2 weeks after I had seen the victim, a very, very minor car accident happened right in front of me. A car got T-boned right in front of me. If I would have spent one more second at the intersection behind, I would have been T-boned. So I pulled to the right really fast to avoid the two cars getting in my direction, and the one car's wheel popped and it started fire. And to have two things like that happen in 2 weeks was more than I'd ever had in my 50 years. And I was the only witness. And people were just still speeding by. They obviously didn't know there was a car accident. I don't know. But, I had to holler out for people to stop. And fortunately, a fireman had off-duty fireman had his window down, so he heard me going, like, stop and help. And I helped the woman whose airbag broke, and I was tending to her, and everybody was coming over, and there's all these things going on. It was a big, huge, huge mess. And the cop came over to me, and sheriff, and asked me what happened because I was the only witness. And I said, oh, yeah, but, like, my words would not come out. And I knew that, something was wrong. I was not able to talk. I was like, here, I snorted. I was like trying to, and he's like, well, which direction did that come from? And I could not tell him. I'm like, well, I don't, And so, it's like he helped me, and, he called my husband, who came to the scene, and had my husband, drive my car home. He's like, okay, I'm going to have your husband take you home, and you're going to go lay down, and then I'm going to come to your house, probably when we're wrapping things up, and I'll get your statement of what happened. But for right now, you need to go lay down and relax, and we'll talk. And so then when they came, same thing. The sheriff explained that, I was in shock for what I had seen, and probably because I'd seen the thing two weeks before. That happens where your mind just plays a trick on you. Seeing something, and probably the spark of fire and getting out of the way, everything just twisted my mind again. And both instances really give me more insight onto the behavior I saw in Chris Watts. I know that he knows that something happened. We all know that something happened. Did he witness it? Did he do it? Did he do part of it? Was he alone? It is my theory that he had massive sleep deprivation combined with whatever substance he was being given in a double dose of what was recommended in a substance that's not recommended by the FDA. And then other people say that this one here was also giving him a magic potion of some type. What was this man imbibing? If only we would have had his blood work. If only there was some circumstance in which he would have been in the hospital too, and they would have taken his blood, and toxicology would have revealed what my suspicion is. My suspicion is that he was unknowingly imbibing a substance, probably, well, I can't say it or I'm going to lose my channel. Now people are putting things together and they're saying, yeah, he was taking this and that's not regulated, and what's in that stuff? Well, it is common knowledge that, and I don't have proof. I can't, as soon as I say something, then, oh, where's the proof? Where's the proof? Well, if you go down the rabbit hole enough, you will find that the formulary makeup of what he was taking, the duo burn twice, double dose, because he was malfunctioning. So Shanann put a couple extra silly stickers on him, slapped them on, and there you go. He was not even sleeping 3 hours a night. He was dry, letting all the girls' clothes hang dry, doing everything that he could by just giving up sleep. A lot of us understand that as moms, but we know that somebody didn't believe in that. But anyway, supposedly that whatever was in the formula when he was taking it in 2018 was changed. It is stated that it was changed because of that event. I would love to know that truth. I believe that a whole governmental FDA investigation needs to go into this and say, what was he taking? What substances were there? If we look at the discovery, we see that a detective did have an inkling. And so he asked, and I'm going to say it was Addie, and I could be wrong. I know that you guys will point that out if I'm wrong, and please be nice about it. Just be nice. Don't be a freaking twat. I'm just sick of it. Anyway, we're on Watts Island, not Twats Island. No twats allowed. Okay? So anyway, he asked for some samples of the product. It's in the discovery. If you go from there, there is no corroborating evidence of whatever that detective took into evidence. Where did it go? Is it still there? Is it still there in Colorado? Is that in fact what the formula that he was taking, or did she have a different formula? Was it going to be tested? And then when Chris Watts did his quasi, what people call a confession, I don't call a confession. I don't call it a confession because I don't know everything that was said. We only know what they want us to see. We don't know how many hours he talked, and we don't know what else he said, but we know a nugget of what they put out there for the narrative. So if a detective looked into this and said, hey, what is this stuff? Why don't we have a whole toxicology corroborating report in the discovery showing what was in that? Also, why don't, if we're going to go there, like I say, where are the DNA results of Nico? Oh, but Shanann's mom said, yeah, it was Chris's. Yeah, she said it was Chris's. Let's see how loaded that question is, or that statement is. Oh, that's not an M after Chris. That's an upside down W. Yeah, those of you get it. Would I be surprised if that company wrote a big old check? Nope. Would I be surprised if a lot of companies wrote big old checks here? Not at all. I know that somebody has an outdoor kitchen. Money can't buy closure and it can't buy happiness, so they can have all the money they want. But until they start acknowledging the truth and what their role was in seeing this dumpster fire and not calling it out. Because how do you go? Leave your house, leave everything, and go and move in with your daughter for 16 months and then be too scared to leave, so you ask your boss to spy on your daughter? And she says, no, go fly a kite. And then you talk her into it and beg her. And then she reluctantly, all right, well, I guess so. And then her and her son are helping, monitoring, reporting. What happened to make them drop what they dropped? and put their life on hold and go and move in and help with the girls for 16 months? What did they see happening? What did they know was going on? What did they drop everything and say, oh shit, we got to get out there because she's snapping? She admits that she's snapping. She admits that because she started taking the Thrive, it made her stop snapping at the girls. Did she deserve it? Does anybody deserve anything? Do you deserve more per hour? Do you deserve less per hour? Who's to say who deserves anything? And what kind of an argument is that? What kind of rationale is that? It doesn't make sense, and neither does any of this. If Christopher Watts did it, what was his motive? Man looks pretty happy here, doing a little kiss with a little smushy nose there. He was happy. He was happy with her. He was not ever happy with, well, I can't say he wasn't ever. I think he was terrified of Shanann, quite honestly. He was terrified of her. What motive would he have? What was his motive? Did he really think he'd get away with it? I mean, come on. And they're like, yeah, because he's a dumb monster. No, the man has a very high IQ. When you are placed into the Department of Corrections, you are subjected to a battery of psychological testing to see if an undiagnosed personality disorder or other psychiatric illness needs to be medicated, monitored, identified, and to see where you would best have placement. In those psychological testings is an IQ test, as is your global, I can't think anything, GAF, global affective functioning something. I can't think right now. I need coffee. Huh. Anyway, they see that you can function and how you've gotten around in the world to this date, and everything from physically getting around to mentally getting around. So we know that nothing was identified on Christopher Watts's psychological testing. They would have done a MMPI, basic psychological testing like that. They would have done DSM. They would have, if he had something, they would have diagnosed it in the DSM. And there's nothing saying any of that. We see that there is the IQ. Now, I know that people argue with me because they don't see that having a root in anything. We see Christopher Watts saying it, so then, well, only Chris said it. No, it was indeed discussed with the two. So the two, whatever they are, Tamburglar and I don't know, whatever his name was. I don't like to talk about them. I think that they really should, well, they say that they can't work or whatever because of this case. Yeah, because they didn't do their job at all. Guilt? I think they have guilt. Or do they have PTSD from what they saw? Yes, I'm sure. But at the end of the day, they know that this doesn't add up. And that's why they went and on the taxpayer's dime, went and had this interview. Now, in that interview, they both referred to, oh, wow, your IQ is really high. Yeah, he saw that too. That's where that discussion came in. Okay? Because I know that I'm being called a liar by saying that. I get called a liar all the time. And that's fine. Call me a liar, but why are you here concerned if I'm lying? If you have 17,000 channels that tell you that you're right, and you give them money and all of those channels are monetized. Telling the truth doesn't pay. So why are you wasting my time further? Do you think I'm going to stop talking? Because you say, oh, she didn't deserve it. Oh, she didn't deserve it. She didn't deserve it. She didn't deserve it. She didn't deserve it. Well, did he deserve it? Yes, he did, because he's a monster. Define monster. Because I think that child abusers are monsters. And if we get down to the nitty-gritty and who was actually the bigger abuser here, and there are people who have different theories on what happened. But once again, what motive would he have had? He was talking about the future. Who wasn't talking about the future? Who had their future crushed in front of them? Who wasn't building a nursery? Have we ever seen anything for Nico's nursery? Have we ever seen a new or a crib or Cece's crib come back out? I guess at only, 12 to 15 weeks pregnancy, I maybe not. But remember, they were talking to real estate agent Ann about selling the house. I am being asked by a few of you to review Christopher's Cellmates new information. I have never been a person who has went to things like that and went there. I did bring this up so that I could say, with the exception of a few people were asking me to pop into Deception Detectives thing and listen to his things and comment, and it's apparent that he has seen things in a different way than I believe are true, and I think that I don't think there's more work I can do on that. As for his cellmate, there are a lot of things going on right now, and basically, of course, the headlines are coming out that Tallman says NK influenced this, NK, because that's what people want. Basically, the whole thing has been too uncomfortable to blame on one person. And so they want to place blame here. And so their easiest target is her because she's essentially a ghost. I don't know if she went into the same underground pit that Casey Anthony has went into, but the two of them have never been seen again. I think Casey and her big fat ass do pop up every once in a while, but oh god, they both are big butted ladies. That's what I thought BBW stood for a long time. I guess it's big boned woman. Nah, just kidding. Anyway, big beautiful woman. Because I got to thinking. Supposedly, this one did not know that Christopher was expecting a third one. And Christopher did not know that he was expecting a third one because he had not had relations with the other one. And this one did not want children. So then when the oops, we did it again came out, and he's like, oops, I wasn't doing it to you again, came out. In his head here, he's thinking, I'm making plans to get an apartment with her, and she doesn't understand that the girls can't share a room because SW has these weird ass rules that the two girls can't contact each other during the 15-hour isolation periods. So he's going through this with his mind. And then it goes, well, if she doesn't know, well, why? Because if my theory is correct, he didn't tell her that there was a third one on the way because it wasn't his. My theory would back this up because the narrative says that this is why it all happened. Okay. I don't think that we appreciate how much the pregnancy put a huge spin on everything, because if Christopher and Shanann were indeed talking about separating, which is supported in him living downstairs. Now we know that the bed was set up downstairs because her parents lived down there. Okay. But then Christopher moved in down there, and when she was going over there doing the deed with him, she was downstairs with him. Okay. So he was sleeping downstairs. That's why when he tries to give his cockamamie story about what happened the night before and says that when she came into bed, well, he had not been sleeping in that bed for months. Not only not when she was not there for 6 weeks, he had been sleeping downstairs because she did not do him in his marital bed. They did it downstairs. Okay. So the pregnancy came along. This is where the whole worlds that were already on shaky ground hit another whole, I don't even know what to call it. Because then Shanann's going along making Chris think it's his. But Chris knows the dates and he knows that he's been bopping her, but not her. Okay? She's over here. So that is why Shanann was fudging the dates. Because he knows that he had not. Okay? That's why she was not receiving prenatal care. Now, I know that people have came and said that I'm lying because in the discovery, once again, I believe it's Addie, talked about the ultrasound that Shanann said that she had to go and drive dodging the tornadoes and whatever and got that. And that was on June 20th or whatever. The fact of the matter is that was just one other lie. Well, that is stated in the discovery. That is hearsay, hearsay, hearsay. And like a second or third generation hearsay. Those of us who have seen the ultrasound that was produced there for Father's Day for her to say, oh, you're so wonderful and everything. That ultrasound was of a much more advanced child. Those who have looked into the case extensively believe that it's probably one of CC's ultrasounds. When we get to the discovery part where the only ultrasound that she had was from that, was it Iron Bar or whatever, the private ultrasound for the gender reveal that came out, and then we have the unfortunate medical examiner's report of the size of Nico. And Nico's measurements, I've done a video on it and, put it right out with the tape measure and everything. He would not have been that large on I think June 20th ultrasound at all. He would have been about the size of a peanut. I'm a mom of 6. I've had, my youngest are multiples. My 4th pregnancy was complicated with a obstructing kidney stone. So I've had extensive ultrasounds. Yes, it's been a while since I've had them, but I can tell you that I know a thing or two about ultrasounds. And because people are like, oh, you just don't know ultrasounds and you don't know what a 3D ultrasound is. I know what it is. And bottom line is that if he only measured this much when the end was there, if you go back to 4 weeks, then you certainly wouldn't have had an ultrasound with a kid that looks like it's getting ready to go to kindergarten like she produced for that Father's Day thing. That's where that June 20th, there was no OB visit. And that's where you do see the actual statement given to the investigators from the office staff that state that she did not have that prenatal care, that in fact she had not seen a doctor in a year and a half, almost 2 years prior for anything, and that her upcoming first OB visit was actually was it for the morning that she was missing? It's been a little while since I've looked over the paperwork. But that's why that's important. So all that time in North Carolina when she was saying all this stuff and she was spotting and she was bleeding and everything, and people are like, why aren't you calling a doctor? She had not established care yet. She had not established that she was pregnant with any provider. Then those of you who have been pregnant, you understand that that's significant. Even if you have not established care and you are spotting and you are vomiting and you are dehydrating, please go to the nearest ER. Oh, she was saying she was out of network. She knows better. You can go to any emergency room and you will figure it out. The safety of your baby and yourself is much more important than any insurance claim. No matter how nervous you are about that, they will not deny you care, and you can absolutely work that out. So these are all concerns of mine, and that's why I started looking into this case, because I knew that there were things that did not add up, that were not true, based on me being a member of 2 MLMs and a mom of 6. So that's where I come in. Those of you who are new and didn't know kind of where my insight was. And I have 2 bachelor's degrees, one in psychology, one in criminal justice, and I'm halfway through my master's in forensic psychology. So anyway, I'm a law school dropout. And there you go. And I had to drop out of my nursing program because of my extreme latex allergy that was a big problem in 1996. So those of you who are new, now you know. Because I did read in a Reddit thread about how stupid I am. So, okay. Anyway, I told you guys all to go to the Reddit thread because it's so good, the Watts free for all. And then I go there and I see this person saying that, I'm insane and stupid as all hell, and a bunch of toothless old ladies are my only fans because I'm a toothless crazy old woman. But I'm stupid. Anyway, got that worked out. Misunderstanding, apparently. Someone talking shit. You know how people do. People be. But yeah, if you want to get into some good discussion points over in Reddit in the Watts free for all, that is one that I'm not kicked out of. I do believe I'm kicked out of all others. And then what happens there is that we'll have this really good conversation where we're starting to, banter back and forth. And a Shiner will see that we're having a discussion, and a Shiner will know that they're already kicked out of that and they're watching everything. So in real time, they'll start going over to my channel telling me that I'm going to hell in a handbasket for bashing the dead. And she didn't deserve it. She didn't deserve it. So what? So what if she was a horrible mom? She didn't deserve it. So they want my attention, these Shiners. These Shiners just want my attention, and I don't know why they can't get the attention that they need from their 17,000 other channels. Is it just because they get bored with saying, yes, 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 let's do our worship. Let's do our worship and say that I want to be just like her. And as I've told you, I've seen some of their videos, and they have very, very bad parenting. And if you guys have not heard about this, no, I won't tell you again. Because I think I did it in the last one. Anywho, what I'm going to start doing is putting my videos on Rumble for the first 24 hours and then on YouTube. And as I said, I've got some other projects in the works. So now is just a good time to kind of go back and look at other things and get involved in other discussions. And on the Tallman issue, I'm going to just kind of sit back and let everybody discuss what they want to, because it's all going to be about NK's role, because it's easier to blame her than the real players, because she can't dispute anything. No one can find her. And people are obsessed with what role she had. I'm going to sit back and let that go. And then all of the issues that are there to be sorted out that actually matter might be there for me to reach out and see if I can review his book or whatnot. I don't want to take any traffic away from them or anything like that. But some bigger channels are going to be making a lot more money now, saying, oh, it's all her. Yes, Chris confirmed it's all about her. They don't listen to the other things. So when you hear things that you want to talk about that are good discussion points, let me know. A good discussion point that I brought up when I was talking about how with the Benadryl, that it is my theory that the girls, sure, they had coughs and colds and flus like any child does, but because of the way that she was restricting them, she was creating them to have a very fragile and insecure immune system, because they weren't around other kids. So then when they would be around other kids, going to the doctor's office and whatnot, they would get more sick and whatnot, and they were prone to complicated bronchitis and things like that do happen. And so while they might have had a touch of asthma, which is uncomfortable and scary, I do believe that it was in her best interest. It worked for her to absolutely exaggerate the girls' allergies, because then people did not question her on her misuse of the Benadryl. The Benadryl was for the allergies, and people weren't looking past that because, oh, they knew that the girls had these terrible allergies, so they had to have the Benadryl. And other people didn't probably know that Benadryl, in her world, she was using it to make the girls sleep, because no child of that age is going to sleep for 15 hours out of a 24-hour day. That is not the way that we are biologically made. Before the age of 5, your brain is absolutely a sponge, and those of us who are mothers know that there is no greater time in which a child will learn. Children can learn a second language, even a third, before the age of 5, faster than they can at any other time in their life. It is our job as mothers, fathers, parents, caregivers to facilitate that and optimize each day so that our children are learning and thriving. Ugh. How ironic, right? Don't you think? Don't you think? So to have people standing by that knew that she was locking them up from 7 to 7 and from 12 to 3. And, oh yeah, and it works so that me and Chris can have our time together in our marriage, and then I can have my time, and I'm such a better mother because I have them sleep trained. Oh, bullshit. You Benadrylled them so they'd sleep. And certain people can have, what's it called, a paroxysmal reaction to Benadryl, where it actually makes you hyper. Okay? So you could say that that's maybe what's happening with Cece, because I always feel that there's something in Cece that is chemically derived. That if Cece was born to parents who allowed her to be a child, I don't think that we would have seen some of the behavior we've seen. Now, Benadryl should never be used for any other purpose than what your doctor says and what it says on the bottle. I've done extensive videos on this, as you know, and Cece should not have been given Benadryl at all for her age. No. And I know that my sister's child has, I know that there's weird circumstances, and under certain doctors' supervision, there are circumstances, but that is not what we are talking about here. We are talking about somebody who was abusing medication in her children and making it seem that there's this big allergy issue, and that's why everybody's saying she's such a good mommy because she's so protective and all that. No, that's control. It was controlling so that then they would sleep and not bother her, and that's not parenting. And you know how she figured that out? Because she was a nanny. And how many hours do you work as a nanny? How many hours do you work when you work? About 8 hours. So she was used to caring for kids for about 8 hours. And that's all she wanted. Well, actual parenting is 24/7, 365, year after year. She didn't want that. Everything that she saw makes sense. If you think about it, and how she says she worked in the children's hospital, and I know that people are saying that calls were forwarded to her home and whatnot. I know, but she did go into the children's hospital enough to know she saw sick kids. And what do sick kids do? They cuddle their parents. They're not running around, screaming, jumping, needing you to interact with them. No different than when somebody gets a puppy because they want a puppy because it's cute and you can cuddle it. She saw sick kids and saw that those could be the kind of kids that she could deal with. Did she deserve it? Did she deserve it? Did those girls deserve that? Did those girls deserve to have a childhood robbed? What kind of world was it accepted that her little cronies went along with her, locking those girls up for 15 hours from the outside, calling it sleep training? And other people knew it. Now, one of the questions that arose from that discussion was she medicating them during the day for the 3-hour nap as well as at night? Good question. I don't know. People ask me how I know about the Benadryl. Well, that was a common thing she bragged about, and those of you who know, we've seen her talk about it, and also Cindy Watts talked about it when she babysat. I think that she was instructed by Shanann to do the same thing, and she would talk about Shanann lining them up like little birds, and with the little syringes in their mouths, and they just line up, and she'd give them Benadryl and lots of Tylenol. And I think that was actually for the one time when they were sick, where she said the lots of Tylenol. But she did give them Benadryl and Tylenol each night, and she was saying it's because they have the familial Mediterranean fever, which they did not. She said that they did have it. They absolutely did not. Now, one of the things that has came out that has gotten messed up 5 ways from sideways, because I was hearing this, it was coming to my channel, and it was saying that I couldn't know these things because they're children and a child's medical records are automatically shut for 100 years. And I'm like, what the shit are you talking about? Their medical reports were in the autopsies, and the medical examiner straight up said the girls were healthy. And for most parents, they'd be overjoyed to have healthy, happy children, but to her, that was an inconvenience. As I said, sick kids that are cuddly, that are medicated, were more her style for her schedule. And that is what it is. Some people find out too late that they don't want to be mothers, but don't go having a third child, and don't go on this big thing that, oh, you went on this wonderful angelic fertility thing, and you worked so hard because it was so hard for you to get pregnant because you didn't have lupus, you didn't have difficulty getting pregnant. All 3 children were naturally conceived and had no complications. Oh, but her mom had to stay because she had complications. No, there's nothing there. Anyway, the girls' autopsies stated that they were healthy children. It would have stated that they had FMF. When the medical examiner did the autopsies, when a medical examiner, that's what they're called, they basically do a whole report because they need to ensure that nothing in life caused a death. Therefore, when something goes to a trial, as most things would, but we know Chris stuck his head in, oh, don't want a trial, just lock me up, throw away the key. Yeah. Anyway. Medical examiner saw their medical records. The girls were healthy. So, as twisted as these weird things have been coming from the Shiners, I now know where this came from. I have now been told that Chris's cellmate came out with the information that the ruse just went to Chris and had him sign to seal the girls' medical records for, 100 years or whatever. Why? Why? Why would it be important to seal their medical records? Because people like me I am saying there was no familial Mediterranean fever, and the girls were being overdosed with Benadryl, and that they were healthy. They were healthy, normal, beautiful children that deserved to have a childhood, that deserved to be able to run, play, laugh, scream, swim, play with bubbles, absolutely be loved, and get to the point where they're exhausted, just like they did in those last 6 weeks of their life. Because the thing is that the ruse left alone, and the Watts at any time were wonderful with their grandchildren. When she was running the helm and telling everybody what to do with the girls, and everybody was afraid of them except for Cindy Watts. Cindy Watts straight up said, no, this is weird, this is bullshit, I'm not doing it, which is why she had to become the villain in the story. But anyway, why would the ruse want? And you know what? Arguably, the ruse could come and say, I didn't do this. This is coming from the cellmate or whatever. This is the way that the information is now being brought to me. I would just have to ask why. Why would that be something that would be important in the grand scheme of everything, where we don't know what happened exactly, when there are bigger things at hand? Why is it? Is it because they know that Christopher Watts could absolutely get a 35C in Colorado? But then the people say, no, because he's afraid of the death penalty. No, he's not. He never was. And you know what? Colorado has abolished the death penalty now. The likelihood of him ever being executed was very small to begin with. And the way that it came out was that, the Watts are the Roofs are very religious people who do not want another death. Oh, baloney. If the way that it's going now, that, they need to file lawsuits because this monster did this and everything, there would be, if they really believed that it happened the way that it would, I can't imagine that Frank wouldn't have torn him limb for limb. I think that the Roos know that something doesn't add up about what happened. The Watts definitely know. Oh, and I'm also being accused of being Cindy Watts. I'm not Cindy Watts. I have never in any capacity had anything to do with the Watts, not in correspondence or anything of the like. I doubt that Christopher Watts has ever even heard about my name, my channel, nothing. I've had no interactions whatsoever. If given the chance, I would absolutely like to ask him some of the questions and concerns that I have. I would absolutely love to ask them, but in the grand scheme of things, there are just bigger issues about how this case is handled for any of us. Every single one of us, every single American should be very concerned about the miscarriage of justice in this case. Now, when you're up against the person that the prosecutor is accusing, he's jumping up and saying, go ahead, lock me up. Sure. Any other unsolved crimes that you want me to take responsibility for? Sure. How many unalivings do you want me to go down for? Sure. Pin them all on me. Just go ahead. Yeah, sure. I don't know. Me and some demons did it. Who knows? Sure. I'm not going to contest it. Do whatever you want. Was he still detoxing from whatever that shit was that was being put in his body? Maybe. And then I go through, I don't even know how much would show because those stickers going, I know that when you take a pill, it goes through your liver, but transdermally, it avoids the digestive tract, right? So I don't even know that, I guess toxicology would still. I don't know. I wish that there would have been a reason. And then my other thing is, Shanann was a Hellcat. She would be able to kick anybody's ass, I'm sure. She'll probably kick my ass, no problem. Her father said she had freakishly strong legs. How does Senior know that? I don't know. You think that if Christopher Watts just casually decided to sit on her and start strangling her, that she'd have been like, all right, let's get this party started? Hell no. She would have beat him up. He would have had his eyeballs out, like in a case next to the phone when she called 911. And then people are saying, oh no, because you poisoned her. Nope. Her toxicology does not show anything other than the extremely high alcohol. Well, but that's from decomp. No, it's not. Not that high. Not that much. But there was no oxycodone or anything like that was of elevation, so she was not poisoned. And where's the frickin' crime scene? Can anybody tell me exactly where the crime scene is? Where did this go down? How did this happen? Where did this happen? Even if he confessed, why did they not take him there and have him go through the house and say, okay, tell me where this happened? How did this happen? Where were you when this happened? How did this happen? How did you get this from there? Because that's what happens when you are investigating. Maybe they just never had somebody say, go ahead, put me away. But what does that say about the lack of freedom that he felt that he had in life before he got LWAP? Was he feeling that trapped and whatnot? But again, what was his motive? If he was actually happy, talking about a future. People who are hopeless have no hope. He had hope and he had plans. Now, as I've talked about in the other video about, is this the reason that he did it? Because if he saw that mail, which was because the mail was on the passenger side, if he saw that mail and he put everything together that she had not been making the mortgage payment, that all of the money that he'd been working when he worked was going straight to her cheating her way all the way up the MLM ladder, her paying for the vacations. He was paying for the vacations, but he didn't know it. If he found out, and then he went and he found out he was absolutely broke and that she had bankrupted them again, would he then say, oh my God, I have no money and now I can't start over and get an apartment with NK? No, because he still had his job. He didn't think he was going to be able to walk away with much money, if any money. He was talking about getting an apartment. He wasn't saying, hey, I'm going to take, this $55,000 that I'm going to get after this and put it down on this, and here we go, and he's in another mortgage or anything like that. No. He had plans for the future. She didn't. And if we go back to the way that I've said that it went down in North Carolina, and a lot of other people say that it went down like that in North Carolina. But then you see the news reports where her mother says she had no idea that there was any type of marital problems. Well, we know that's a damn lie, because why would you go there for 16 months and have somebody report? And why would people in the salon in which she worked give interviews on TV talking about how Shanann was in there talking about how she's going to get a divorce? Yeah, they went to Shanann's mom's salon where she worked, because Shanann brought the girls in, and her mom probably had the girls because Shanann was off on another couple of getaways with the father of the baby, trying to solidify her future. But he said, no, there is no future. I've got a wife and 2 kids of my own. I'm not leaving for you. You're fun on vacation. Oh, you in that leopard dress are very fun on vacation. But you're not wife material. She faced rejection. What does a narcissist do when they face rejection? They stumble. They fall. They don't know what to do. They scramble. All of these things, talking points. How could she not know that there was any problems in the marriage when everybody at the salon knew that Shanann was in there talking about getting a divorce? As she was talking about getting a divorce in front of her other friends at the Benihana type table to the attorney. And why do all of her little MLM cronies sit there and not say a damn word about any of this? Because they were chicken. They couldn't say anything to her knowing that she was medicating her children. Was she doing it in the day? I don't know. If anybody knows, please add it in the comments. Again, I want to thank everybody for listening. I have all of these things, all of these talking points that we'll go into much deeper in the next few months, but I just want all of you guys to be out and enjoying your summer as well. And if you get bored, listen to my old videos so you'll get caught up. I'll be transferring more and more to Rumble, as you know. If you feel so inclined to buy me a coffee, my contact information is on my About Me page here, where, let's see, view my channel, Cash App. I'm on Cash App at Tabitha Jane 13. And you can send me money for coffee, because obviously I need it all the time, often. And look at this. We have 3,570 some awesome people here. And y'all are all called subscribers here, and you know I don't like that, because I feel like we've built a community here, a community of people who understand and talk and listen and respect each other. And I've got 497 videos here. Now, some of you who know that I cover Michelle, I've lost track of Michelle. And I don't want to, like the Ring or something. She looks like the Ring. I don't know what's happening with Michelle. You guys can catch me up on that if you'd like. But I got a comment from a former shiner today, and they said, I guess I'm a shiner. I didn't know I was one, but wow, I've learned so much from your channel. Thank you for doing what you're doing. And that's the way that I want this channel to always be, is that it's about information and education and looking at the things. And again, the thing is does anybody deserve anything? And that's just not even logical. And then to quickly try and shut things up and say, oh, you don't talk about the dead, that's a sin. No, that's called forensic psychology, and you're analyzing the behavior of the living and what they did when they were alive. I don't know what they're doing when they're dead. That's totally something I don't know, but I'm talking about the behavior that happened when they were alive, and that's called forensic psychology. Well, if you want to, So, thanks for listening. We'll get reacquainted as we go here. Pop on over to Reddit, Watts Free for All, for some good conversation. And I will talk to you all soon. Thanks for listening. And again, if you want to buy me some coffee, Tabitha Jane 13 on my Cash App. Thanks so much for listening. Bye-bye.